Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question, which I'm going to flip in here, and it's one of these questions. It's a little amusing. It's almost the same question that gets rephrased that I get asked all the time. I answer it every couple months. But the guy basically says, hey, since the fat-free mass index for naturals limit is 25, which again, a very strong misunderstanding of that, and I'm at a fat-free mass index of 18 right now, and I use gear, roids, anabolics, whatever you want to call them, to get up to a 25 and come off. Can I stay there? Can I keep all my gains since I'm at the natural limit? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting busy work, and let's talk about this. All right, brother, I know the answer you want to hear, and everyone who asks a question like this wants to hear this answer. They want me to say, as a guy who knows a lot about these substances, what they do in the body, long-term, short-term, how they work, a lot about their biochemistry. You want me to say, of course, you can do 1 or 2 cycles and make all the gains that you think you're going to make. You're going to be able to come off, do some PCT, suffer no side effects, not ever need testosterone replacement therapy immediately after. You're going to bounce back perfectly. You're going to keep 100% of your gains. You're going to keep all the motivation that you had, and you're going to keep training and keep everything. Yeah, it's going to work exactly how you planned it. That's what you guys want me to say. You know how many guys I've seen pull that off in 2 decades? I can't think of a single one. Can't think of a single one. So let's talk about that for a minute. Do anabolics, if used for long periods of time, cause some permanent structural changes in your muscle tissue? Yes, we have studies showing that. And it seems to vary from drug to drug as far as how some of them do it. Some of them cause long-term changes in the nuclei of your muscle cells, which in effect will give you a very powerful muscle memory type effect. So in theory, someone could use them for a long period of time and go past their natural limit and stay past it. Are they going to keep all of it? No, they're going to lose some of it no matter what. You are always going to lose some of your gear gains. All right? Always. But can there be some permanent changes that last in the long term? Yeah, there does seem to be, absolutely. They don't seem to go away even after years. Now, a lot of factors to consider. First of all, you're misunderstanding the fat-free mass index. What we always say is that for people who are very genetically gifted in their ability to gain muscle mass and retain muscle mass when cutting, being 10% or lower body fat and having a fat-free mass index of around 25 is pretty much the limit for the genetically elite. Now, you want me to just be honest with you? You've been training a while. You've been training long enough to know what fat-free mass index means, and you're at a fat-free mass index of 18. I can assure you at this point you do not have elite genetics for gaining muscle. All right, I'm just going to be frank with you. You do not have amazing genetics for gaining muscle. You are not going to reach a fat-free mass index of 25 while being pretty lean. I think you can give up on that one. If you've been training 6 months or a year, and you're at 18 still, you're just not genetically gifted. That's okay. That would also be like me telling someone they don't have the intellect of Stephen Hawking or Albert Einstein. We're talking about rare individuals. You are not one of them in this particular area. Maybe your talents lay elsewhere, but they're not in gaining muscle. So I think you can forget that one. Want further proof on that? Eric Helms. Dr. Eric Helms, one of the few guys with actually a PhD in bodybuilding, because he did his doctoral work studying pre-contest bodybuilders. Has over a decade of training experience, natural pro, has done extremely well, and also in drug-tested powerlifting on top of it. Has an amazing knowledge of nutritional science, coaches bodybuilders, fantastic knowledge of training programming, average genetics. He has admitted in the past to having done a steroid cycle. Does he hit a fat-free mass index of 25? Is someone with over a decade of experience, all of this knowledge and previous steroid use, what is his fat-free mass index when he competes? It's under 24. It's something like 23.8, 23.9. He's not even 24. And he's done steroids. So this 25, you need to understand, we're talking about fairly gifted people, not just the average Joe who just trains really hard. All right, you need to understand that difference. Now, as far as guys who want to do what you're planning on doing, in 2 decades of being around the iron game, I have seen dozens, if not hundreds of guys say they're going to do exactly what you just said. Okay, they're going to do a few cycles, a cycle, 2 cycles, 6 cycles, whatever it takes to reach whatever goal it is, and they're going to come off and they're going to go clean. Everyone says that stupid shit. Every motherfucker out there who's on 2 grams of gear right now, plus growth hormone, said that exact same thing. All right, every single one of them that I've ever met, guys I've known for years, every one of them were going to do just 1 cycle. I also knew guys who said they were just going to try heroin one time. So let me explain how this works. Anabolics can be physically addictive in the sense of you can make your body dependent on testosterone when you come off of them. PCT is not the greatest thing in the world. It's not as effective as it has been made out to be. All right, it's been overhyped. There are plenty of guys who do a few cycles and their testosterone levels do not return even with PCT. All right, more common than you've been led to believe. Furthermore, PCT usually costs more than your actual drug cycle did. Good PCT, you could expect to pay anywhere between 2 and 3 times what you did for the cycle itself. If you're going to do it correctly, the most effective way possible, it's more expensive than the gear. It's actually cheaper to just stay on testosterone. Way cheaper than it is to do proper PCT using ACG and everything. Like something like Dr. Michael Scali's Power PCT protocol that he advocates and has written. You're going to pay a pretty good chunk of money for that. PCT has worse side effects, particularly mental side effects, than the actual gear does. So here's your thing that's going to happen. When a lot of guys come off, they get so used to training on gear for the period of time that they're on it, because of the pumps they get, the different drive they get in the gym. When they come off and they go on PCT, do you know how many guys I have seen who never touch a weight the rest of their life after that? I've seen at least a dozen dudes I've known who have gone to gyms with everything else, do a few cycles, or 1 cycle, or 2 or 3, and in the middle of their PCT, they realize that they're scared to stay on the rest of their life. But if they can't have gear gains and gear pump and gear drive in the gym, they don't even bother. They don't want to fucking bother touching a weight again. What's the point? They just quit. I have watched a lot of guys come in and talk about doing what you're doing, because if you're at an 18 fat-free mass index, you haven't put in that much work yet. You still don't have your training basics down. Guys who come in and do that, they go on gear, they enjoy the gear, they come off, they get depressed on their PCT, and they never touch a weight the rest of their fucking life. Now, I'm going to ask you, how much muscle do you think you're going to keep when you gain 15 pounds of muscle from steroids, and then you come off of them and you don't work out ever again? How much muscle you think you keep from that? I'll let you think on that one. I'll let you figure that one out on your own, but it's not a lot. No drugs and no weightlifting. Not a good combination for holding on to muscle mass in my experience. So, I hear you kids say this shit all the fucking time. I've been listening to this shit for 20 years. I'm going to try it this way. I think, can I keep my gains if I do this? Motherfucker, you're going to quit working out is what you're going to do, or you're going to go back on gear. That's kind of how it works, all right? You don't go do enough gear to make the type of gains you're talking about, to go from an 18 to a 25 fat-free mass index. That's a pretty good long stint of gear. That's a pretty hefty amount of drugs for a while. You don't do that while being someone who's lazy and hasn't bothered to put in the work and the basics yet. You don't do that and gain 20 pounds of muscle as someone who's a little on the lazy side with their training, and then keep your motivation to train without drugs after that. It doesn't work that way. I have never seen anybody successfully do that who wasn't an insanely driven person already putting in huge amounts of work. I have never seen someone who's coming from that slightly lazy end, and that's the perspective you're giving me. Because I already know when you're wanting to go on gear, when you're at the size you're at, you're a little lazy and you're a little impatient. I have never seen anybody successfully come off of gear who had that mindset and continue to train hard after that. I've never seen it done, ever, in 20 years. So let me tell you what's going to happen. You're either going to quit working out completely, or you're going to go on gear again and you're going to do more gear and more gear. And then, you know, depending upon your perspective, you're either going to be happy with your gains, or you're going to develop muscle dysmorphia and you're going to be one of these guys doing the Jerry Ward stacks. That's just how it works. I mean, I'm not calling you out with that. I'm just telling you the truth. That is how it works. That's what you're going to do. Do you know why I know? Because I've watched 100 other guys do the exact same thing in 2 decades. Odds are you're probably not a unique special snowflake. You're just like these other guys. So what I'm going to recommend is that you factor in with what you're talking about and think about either you need to be patient and go ahead and put in the work you want for the next 2 or 3 years and figure out what you want, or you need to decide, well, I'm going to be a gearhead for the next 20 years and you need to probably commit to staying on for the rest of your life. There's no in between for guys coming from your mentality. You don't pull it off. So I'm going to recommend for a guy like you, unless you're planning on being a juice head indefinitely, I'm going to recommend that you stay natural, train hard for the next couple of years, drug free, and then reassess what you want. Reassess what you want out of training, reassess what you want out of life. But what you're planning to do, I have never seen anyone successfully pull it off. I have seen dozens and dozens of people fail to do what you're trying to do. And you're not going to be one of those guys who says, because I'm more driven than others. Because if you were driven, you wouldn't have a fat-free mass index of 18. All right? You probably are either very, very new to the gym and already wanting to jump on gear. So you just started a couple months ago, or you're too lazy to eat, or you're too lazy to lift heavy weight. Because otherwise you wouldn't be that size. Not if you've been training for a year. You've been running some piss poor, lazy ass fluff and pump programs at best, and you're scared to eat food. I'll tell you right now that ladder isn't going to work for a gear user. You might get away with the fluff and pump on gear, but if you're scared to eat food, you're still going to stay tiny as fuck. So, hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully I didn't offend you too badly and you're not too upset. But you know what? You guys ask me stuff like this, and I'm just going to give you an honest answer from my years of observation. That's just the reality of it. And if you want to see how much muscle guys keep when they run a ton of gear and come off completely, there's plenty of ex-pro bodybuilders from just 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago who you can see just in recent years. I might even flip a few of them through this video for you. It'll give you a real good idea of just how massive you fucking stay when you become dependent upon gear for your gains, and that's what you're talking about, and then you come off completely. You might not even look like you lift. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.